every video off the same way. So, alright, welcome back to Little Bent Ranch. So, today, not really anything different, kind of the same, but it's a different tractor. So, I'll give you a hint. You know, this is what I'm working on. Can anybody guess what it is without looking at the hood? I mean, I would say everybody's going to take a pretty good guess that it's an A, but it's actually a Super A. So, and this is kind of a different one in the fact of this is actually not my tractor. I usually don't do this. I don't work on tractors for other people too often. But this one's a hair different. For starters, this is a really good buddy of mine's tractor. He just bought it. And for two, this tractor actually came from up the Booskies. I'm going to put a clip in right about now. Maxie Harris
is yours, yep.
Mine. This 240 is mine. And that A right there is mine. The Super A on the other side is not.
Yeah, the last one is not. And this B and here with a single front wheel.
I almost forgot about this one. I turned my back to it. Alright, so you saw that. Yep, that's the Super A was sitting over on this side, and oh yeah, it would have been on this side, and my A was drove in. They were both drove in the building there. So yeah, this is actually a Booski Super A. It was, I didn't get the opportunity to buy it. It was already spoken for by the time I made my deal, I guess you could say. So a different guy bought it. He got it to run, but it pulsated real bad. At wide open throttle, all it would do was pulsate. If you put it under any load, it was fine. But at just wide open freewheeling, I guess you would say, she was pulsating. And yes, there is snow out there, and yes, I have the door open because I've had this thing running, and it stunk. So, you get the wood stove going, door open, it makes a whole lot of sense, don't it? But, so, that's the reason I'm working on this. Two reasons, I guess, is he is a really good buddy, and this is one of Booski's old tractors, and I don't know. I just have a thing with these tractors of I want to see them all running as much as possible. You know what I mean? So now I got this thing to run pretty good. I played with it and played with the governor. I played with it for the last couple days of trying to figure out what she's doing. So inside the governor, you have your governor spring. This would be your high speed adjustment of how fast you want the governor to turn. And then down under here, there's a acorn nut that's supposed to go on those threads. I don't have it on there yet because I've been playing with it. But that is what they call the bottom governor bumper spring. And what that does is as she revs up and the governor over does itself, you know what I mean? And that's what this tractor was doing, is it was bouncing on the actual governor spring because it wasn't touching that bottom bumper spring. Does that make sense? I should have probably videoed it to show you. Maybe I'll put a picture up and try to voice over it here if I can find a picture of it in the book. So you see this number, would it be 20 right here and 21? So that would be your surge bumper spring and your surge spring adjustment screw. And then 22, you can't hardly see it, but it's a acorn style cap. So that would be underneath there. And what this governor was doing is your 23A, your rock shaft lever, this rock right here, this piece, because the governor is just plain getting a little war. Everything is, this whole little war. Everything's a little war in this governor. That it needed to be adjusted here at number 10 up here. This rod would be going to your carburetor, okay? Number 10 would be your throttle rod. So number 11 is your adjustment, your throttle rod clevis yoke. So all I did was I started adjusting this out so that way it's pushing on that carburetor further away. to try to get the governor back in its range. You know what I'm saying? So that way you can adjust it so it can ride on this surge spring and adjust the number 8, which is your speed adjustment screw of how fast the governor revs up, to get it back in its range of it's allowing it to be on the spring correctly, rev up high enough, and push the carburetor far enough. Yeah, it's a lot of saying in just that little bit, but I think I actually got it now. So I had the governor off twice, actually, playing with it. And what I ended up doing was on the bench, I kind of just set it so the high speed, I had it lower than this, but the high speed screw was holding the arm down so that way the bottom could not come off that bumper spring. Then what I did is I took this, your throttle rod going to the carburetor here, and this was adjusted, well, you can see, I'm gonna grab my flashlight. So you see how it's kind of got painted and the threads there? Well, the horseshoe part, or the clevis part, I guess you could say, I think they call it a clevis in the book, was right about there. There was a hair of thread sticking out, but not a whole lot. Plus what's painted there. As you can tell, it definitely is not like that anymore. So what I ended up doing, and it worked, is I took that out. So this throttle rod is pushing it out further here, so that way it isn't trying to over rev the governor here and allowing that governor spring and arm to get off the bottom bumper spring. Yeah, it took me some tinkering. I got her to do it. I thought originally, many of you may know Booskies, I thought they put the wrong spring in it. They had a governor spring of some sort and put it in, and it was too short. So right here, I don't know if you'll be able to see them hardly, but those are little machine nuts that I was able to get down in the little cup where that governor spring sits. And because I thought that's what it needed. It was just to get up just that hair more. Well, that didn't work, because as it would run and push on that spring, it would bounce that spring up out. And that's why I had to take it back apart. Mostly because the spring got bounced up out of this little cup there. But now I have it sitting down like it should be. I have, here, actually you can fire it up. Let me put you down. So, you could hear that sounded normal. You know what I mean? It did not sound normal when it came. It had that surge to it. I'm not going to say I figured it out. I've been working on it for a couple days of, not all day long, but just playing with it and then thinking about what it needed. I'm going to close that door. It's getting cold. Anyways. So I've been, a couple days of thinking about what it needs. And to me, it finally made sense of it needs that throttle rod taken out to get everything back into its service limits of how the governor's supposed to react. If that makes sense, that's kind of what it needed. So, obviously, when you take that throttle rod out, I've played with everything. Now I got to get it to idle, down again, which I should go over here. So, this is actually my Zenith carburetor. This carburetor ran right off my A. So, I went down, pulled that off my little Farmall A just to eliminate fuel problems. Because if you notice right here, the guy before him that bought it from up the Booskies, I would say that's a Amazon carburetor. It ran, and I think I'm going to get it to run. So I'm not overly concerned about it, you know what I mean? But I wanted to make sure that it wasn't a odd jet in this thing causing it to get an odd vacuum and pulsate. But it wasn't. It was the governor. So I'm going to get that switched and throw... what do I got to do? I got to put the choke is backwards versus what everything of mine. See how when it's pulled back, it's open choked, and then she's full choked when you push forward? Well, the first time we tried to start it after they dropped it off, couldn't get it to run because I was flooding it, because the choke was the opposite of what I thought it was. So it wouldn't run that great after I did that. I got her cleared out, brought it in here, and then I think I got that governor taken care of now. So I'm going to change that carburetor and go from there, I guess. But this is a pretty clean Super A. I can say I really never looked at it that close when it was up the Booskies, because I wasn't getting the tractor, you know what I mean? But it's got the hydraulic unit, just like the Super C's, that I stripped off that Super C, if you saw in the last video. I had to pick on him. He bought the tractor. Then that night I saw pictures that he had weights on it already. I had to pick on him and say, you know, what are you, 2 years old? You had to throw weights on it as soon as you bought the tractor? I can't pick on him that hard, though. I do the same thing, so. But, yeah, it's a pretty clean. It's still 6 volt. It's got a mag on it, as you can tell, if you pay attention. The only thing I do see is she's just got a little seepage going here on this side of the radiator, which, not that it's the end of the world. I will almost bet some, what is it, silver sealer, you know, that radiator sealant stuff that comes in that little tube. I'll almost bet that'll seal it. It's if I had to guess, I'll bet Booski's put it in 30 years ago, and it just dried up and got nasty, so it probably could use it again. Because which one? I want to say my single front wheel B leaks a little. Yeah, I think it's that one, because I didn't take the BN at all last year in the A. Yeah, so it's got to be the B leaks. And you'll see it on the front. I guess you would call that a bolster. You'll see a little bit. It's nothing substantial. You gotta add a little bit to it in the spring, and then if you're taking it again in the fall, you gotta add a little bit to it again. Not that bad, though. But that's what I'll tell him, that he might want to pick up some of that stuff, because as you can tell, they tried to patch the radiator as much as they could. This side's, yeah. So, and the radiator for these little things are, I think, $600. It's half the price of the tractor almost. But this thing, first thing I asked him is, how's your fuel tank? And I don't know if you'll be able to see. You should be able to. This one is spotless. I will say, I'm almost jealous of that. My B's good. BN's good. I think my A is a little, not bad, a little rusty. It could use a new fuel bowl, which I got one sitting there for it when I bring that in, throw a battery box in it. But it needs a little pipe in it. It's not bad, really. I'm not complaining. My H is actually the worst of all them tractors. Let's say, so you know how the Farmall ones come with that little nipple sticking up out of it? You know, you Farmall guys and everybody will know what I'm talking about. I think I got a piece of brake line and then a piece of something else jammed on top of that. I want to say I'm sucking that far up in that tank. Works. We did that when did we do that? Well, right about now. It was before the first time I took it, which would have been in Stockton. They're doing that 2-day show there. So it would have been before that, and I haven't had to send them sediment bowl back out of it in a year. So it works. And especially it don't. What's it do? Pull a hay wagon around here with logs on it. But yeah, so I'm gonna switch that carburetor, switch that choke lever like I talked about, because that's just backwards, and see what I can get her to do to idle. It'll be I don't want to touch my carburetor because my carburetor ran on that tractor. You know what I'm saying? So now that I know this thing's going to run, I'm gonna switch and put his carburetor back on it. I'm betting I'm gonna get it to run, but we'll see. If I have to find a different one, I have to find a different one. You know what I mean? So, let's see what happens. So, I got this Super A all put back together, as you can tell. This is actually a pretty straight tractor now that you can see it with the tin on. I mean, it's pretty good. They did a pretty nice job of this one when they painted it back in the day. Looks about like the rest of the little Farmalls that I got. But yeah, I got her back together. Actually, here, we can fire it up. Oh, I should say, before we fire it up, I did get that Amazon carburetor to run, I would say, pretty normal. Let's see how she fires up. And so you hear, let me step away from it so you can, I hope, I've noticed the last couple of videos, I don't know if I got a setting wrong in this camera or something, but I noticed that it's, when I rev a tractor up so you can hear what it's doing, I noticed that it like, takes the sound down enough, it's almost hard to tell what it's doing. So I might have a setting wrong. I don't know exactly what, but I hope that you can hear, that one's running pretty smooth. What it was doing before is when it was not under load, it would surge, obviously. Like I kind of explained earlier in the video, I just kept playing with, well, actually, I'll show you. So I just kept playing with, you know, that adjustment right there, make sure that pin was free, which it was. And then the high-speed adjustment there, and that acorn nut that's under there, that's the bottom bumper governor spring. Bottom bumper governor spring. And that other one's the high speed, and that is, to me, that acts like the way that they made it so you could adjust the governor to get it back in its service limits as the governor starts to wear. And it was, I don't know, right about there or so, if you can see my finger, you know what I mean, versus where I have it now. So it took some playing around, because the way I've seen a lot of transfer sled Farmall C pullers, well, you know, same governor idea here, and they'll overturn them to the point where they're just bouncing the governor because they don't care if they'll idle. But yeah, I'm gonna text him, tell him whenever he wants to come pick this up, and you will see this tractor at a tractor pull this summer for 2,500 pounds. You will. But yeah, it's a pretty neat tractor. It's got the lift arms. He obviously put a ball on it so he could tow around a wagon, I think. But yeah. So, if you like this kind of, you know, I guess you could call this a fixing a tractor. I actually did fix something. Miracle on 34th Street. But, yeah. If you could, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel, hype the video. I guess I'll catch you in the next one.